Ah! Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Bounce it. Bounce it. Get out of my way. Ah. Well, should we upload a level? I actually made a Kaizo College level. I make a whole series of levels called Kaizo College to try to teach people who are new to Kaizo how to do all of the Kaizo tricks in a way that's not like super brutal and super punishing. So like with tons of reset doors, and now using the new trick to reset checkpoints as well. Learn to spell. Natural selection, cellular biology, like cellular biology, elementary school, intro to shellometry, partial credit. Oh yeah, social studies was pretty good. Social studies was great. I love it. I just got here what the shell is going on. So this level is something that has been done before, but I honestly, okay, so I think one of the original things that people really got into in Mario Maker was using shells for Kaizo levels. And so part of me never wanted to make a shell level because I felt like it was overused. But at the same time, people keep asking me, like, what's a level to learn shell tricks? What's a level to learn shell tricks? And there are a few, but there aren't very many, like, really good, well-made, like, comprehensive levels to learn shell tricks. Anyway, the beginning of the level is, it's basically an automatic section that shows you, it just like shows you what it's like to be a badass with shells in Mario Maker. So the whole purpose of that section is to be like, this could be you if you practiced how to do your shell stuff. So that's your motivation to study. And then each of the section is the learn a new trick. Here's another really cool thing that people have figured out how to do in terms of level design lately. So see, I write pick 3 here. Well, in this level, it has 5 different paths, but you only need to actually beat 3 of them to clear the level, and you get to pick any 3. So if one of them is too hard for you, then I made 3 that are on the easy side, and then 2 that are a little bit more challenging. So you can still beat the level even if you just do the easy paths, but you also have the option of going back and beating it with the harder paths also. Something that people have done to allow people to use checkpoints more frequently is because, okay, so in Mario Maker, you can only have 2 checkpoints. You can't have more than that. And if you want to make like 5 different areas, you can't put a checkpoint at each area. So what people have figured out is when you go through a checkpoint and then go through a pipe and hit another checkpoint, it actually resets the first checkpoint. So what happens is, like, if I go and I play one of these sections really quickly, I can actually go back to that first checkpoint and hit it again because it will be reset because you hit the second checkpoint. So as long as you hit 2 checkpoints in a row, you can keep hitting those same 2 checkpoints over and over and over again. So this is just a pretty basic shell jump, or just throwing shells and jumping on them section. Okay, so see, I beat that section. Now I can collect any of these 3 red coin paths, whatever one I haven't gotten yet, and then re-hit the same checkpoint that I already hit earlier, and it resaves all of your progress. So the red coin will be saved permanently until the end. And see, now you can pick any path again and go down it again. And if you die, it'll save the fact that I already beat this leftmost path over here. So just a lot of the really neat things that people have figured out to get around, honestly, the drawbacks of some of the quirks of Mario Maker, like only being able to place 2 checkpoints instead of more than 2. So what's going on here is there's a launcher that's positioned on top of a muncher, and the muncher's kind of hanging off the edge. So when you destroy the muncher with the POW block, the launcher is going to fall down. This is kind of a cool thing because you can actually do lots of different stuff with this as a way to kind of gate off different areas. So for example, if you hit a POW block anywhere, it would do the same effect. And you can also like put something other than a launcher there. Maybe you can put like a cannon on top of it so that a cannon falls down and then you can jump off the cannonballs. Lots of different stuff like that. You could probably think of lots of cool things to do with it. All right, section number 2. So this one is kind of like backwards shell section. So we've got a shell and an arrow pointing to the right. So if you throw the shell over there, then you can use it as a platform to jump to the next section. But I only gave you 1 try before the shell goes away. I had to be a little bit evil, right? So you got 1 chance to let the shell ricochet and jump. All right, so then for this next section, you're gonna kind of throw the shell in the air, and then as it ricochets to the bottom, use it as a platform. This one's just jumping up and throwing the shell. It's gonna bounce backwards. And then in this section, and a lot of different sections, I gave people helmets because I don't want someone to complete all of those sections and then die and have to do it all over again. So the helmet is your safety mechanism. Whenever you see one, make sure to put it on. And then we're going to be doing a backwards shell jump into the wall here to get up to the top area. And every time you miss, it doesn't matter. You just get a new shell. If you get hit, doesn't matter. Anything like that, it's all good. Just in case somebody loses their helmet, somehow when they get to the top, I gave you the muncher anyway, as a means of still getting through to the next area. I had to put those grinders in, the saws, in order to make players lose their helmets so they couldn't take the helmets into the next area, since that could potentially break one of the other areas in the level. And then when you go back through the infinite checkpoint, you're going to end up losing your power-up anyway, so it brings you back to the beginning as Small Mario once again to complete one of the next sections. Alright, section 3. This one is kind of like a blind section right when you start, just due to the nature of the trick, so I tried to give a little bit of a hint of what's to come. It says jump, and then it's pointing at the coins, so basically hold jump and go to the coins. Whee! Oh yeah, oh yeah, bounce it, oh yeah, oh yeah. Alright, so that is a cool little trick that you can do to basically just infinitely bounce off of a shell. So the way that this works is if you look real quick, you can actually see that there's a spring that goes below the launcher. Even though the spring gets hidden by the launcher, it still works, it still functions. So the spring, the conveyors are delivering the shell back into the spring, and then the spring is knocking it forward again. So you can just continuously ricochet a shell forever like this, as long as Mario keeps hitting it. It's a pretty cool trick. For this section, it's actually one of my favorite tricks because it looks so cool, but it's so easy. So all you got to do for this section is run really quickly, so that's why it says go right when you start, and then jump where the arrows point. If you do end up missing it, or you're not quite sure how to do it, I did put in this to help players anyway. So it says run with POW, so that people understand to just grab the POW and just run with it. So it can mess the trick up a little bit if you don't just run though. That's why it says go. So as soon as you get through the door, start running immediately and jump. The reason is because the shell might be in the wrong position. And hopefully the coin trail will help a little bit too. Alright, that is all for section 3. So grab a coin again, and then we go back to the next section. Section 4 has some more of the original traditional shell tricks. So first off, we're going to wear a helmet once again. Make sure we wear our protection. And there's pretty much no way to die. You just kind of jump to follow the coins and then fire the shell where the arrows all point to. Woo! So this one is just a simple jump. We can use the shell to clear these guys out of the way. We've got a little chain chomp fun that kind of shows you what to do here. This is kind of a cool trick. So if you kind of jump and then throw the shell below Mario, the springs will kind of carry it and you up to the top. And if you mess up, no big deal. You just put on another helmet. Whee! This trick is a little bit weird. So what you're going to do is whenever there's an arrow, that's where you throw the shell. So when you run past the arrow, that's where you throw the shell, and you can pretty much bounce off of it. Because there's a tight ceiling there, you can't jump, but you can still run off the edge and time it to land on the shell. And if you miss this trick, then you'll just fall back down here, and you can just run back up to the top and try it again. You can put a few little secrets in here. And then the last time we've got a traditional shell jump, which is a slight little twist. We're going to knock the muncher up there. Get out of my way, ah! And it's going to let us get through. And that's it for that section. And same thing with this section here. Got a quick reset door to get back to try again. Alright, this brings us to the final section. I wrote hard on it just so everybody realizes that you should definitely not start with this section. Unless you got the Kaizo experience already. So for this one, we're going to start by throwing the shell along the coin trail and then do a spin jump off of it. Ah! Gotta think fast. Drop the shell, bounce off of it. Question mark, question mark, question mark. We did it! So what's going on here is while Mario's spin jumping, if he throws the shell forward, then the spin jump gets canceled. No longer will spin jump. But as long as you drop something by holding down, the spin jump remains going. So if you drop the shell and then spin jump off of it, that allows Mario to continue spin jumping in order to be able to bounce off these piranhas that would otherwise kill him if he weren't spin jumping. Then while in the air with this other shell, if you drop it down, it will kill the piranhas on its way down. Then you can use it as a platform to bounce up here. I wanted to make this section a lot longer, but the sprite and block limits of each level are so bad. I just filled the level with the maximum number of sprites and the maximum number of blocks, so there's just no more room to add in either of the two sections, in the overworld and in the subworld. I just completely filled it. And remember, you only need to beat any 3 of those sections in order to get the key, and then once you've got the key, you can jump up here to the key door. Alright, and then I left a message for everybody in the shells. Just make sure you don't die at the end because then it won't save your key. All right, I love how Mario just does his little woo when he lands at the end there. By the way, there is a little secret over here. It's kind of hard to get to though. Before I jump into that and die. So if you can manage to get across these, you can have your little secret one up. All right. It is possible to just do the same one 3 times. Yep. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I wanted to leave it so you can beat the same section 3 times. Yes. The reason is because there was no way that I could think of, like, if I fix that, it makes the level so much harder. To me, it's worth it to just, if someone really wants to practice the same section 3 times, I personally don't care. Like, the whole point of these levels is to teach people Mario Maker tricks. So I try to present everything in a way that makes it easy to understand, like, what to do with each trick and easy to reset it so you can practice it a lot. So the whole purpose of the level is to show people shell tricks and to give people an easy way to practice them. So if they do the same one 3 times, like, it doesn't bother me at all. That's exactly what I want out of the level. Like, it's not really cheese. There are some weird tricks in Mario Maker like, for the people who've been designing levels since the beginning, they know these tricks, but for new players, it's not obvious at all how to do some of this stuff. So for example, you can't just place a shell. Fucking Nintendo literally even trolls you. Watch. When you take a Koopa and you try to shake it to just make a shell, it makes a shell and then the Koopa pops out of the shell. So it's just like, it's like Nintendo like trolling you. I don't even know. You literally can't just place shells. And helmets have a problem too. So if you have the Buzzy Beetles, I have to get rid of a sprite real quick. If you have the Buzzy Beetles and you shake them, they turn into a shell, but Mario can put that shell on as a helmet, and that breaks so many levels. So one of the strategies that people have come up with to try to get around this is to do this weird, complicated setup you see here with the bomb. What's going on here is this bomb is actually going to be crushed by the stone block. So see, when I play it, it crushes it. And what that does is, for some reason, when the ground underneath a Koopa gets destroyed, the Koopa goes and hides in its shell. So it is a way to create Koopa shells, even though you can't place them normally. So that's just one of the little tiny things that we've discovered in making Mario Maker levels. That I wanted to make a tutorial about, because for new people, there's like, you would have to just go look at someone's level and try to figure it out how they make this stuff. And there's a lot of stuff like that too. So another thing that you have to consider when you're making a level that uses this bomb trick to get Koopa shells is positioning the bomb in the shell. So in this case, I have the bomb, the block, and the Koopa shell that are all going to be destroyed to release the Koopa shell, like all stacked right on top of each other. And that's because when you're loading the screen in, as you're inching to the right, all 3 of those pieces will load in at the same time. If you don't set it up like that, any time the player is not moving at a constant speed, the shell will pop at a different time. And that can actually make it go different directions, because the Koopa is going to be constantly walking back and forth. So use a setup like this if you want to be able to consistently knock a Koopa out of its shell and have it fall down for Mario to use. Oh